Hi, my friends and family. I'm back. You know, it's such an amazing time to be alive. The era of disclosure. They're trying to force the to be the era of the new world order with 15-minute cities. But that sickness is just a flash in the pan because, as I say, it has no heart, only a black hole and greed. So today I'm talking about how harmlessness is actually essential in psychological individuation, which in my show means, becoming one with the Christ. You regain your individuality, actually, because you're not going to hurt anyone else. You're remembering, okay, when you become one in the fifth dimension, you become harmless, okay. For the most part, you won't hurt anyone else because you know it's stupid. So it's an essential of individuation, obviously, because the dark element is going to mind control you otherwise. And war, in that case, and many other cases, is forcing a form of evolution in a certain direction, okay? I gotta roll, 'cause I find that, the fakest and coolest gods of all are so sure that they still it all. They laser that town down and nobody's saying much about it, so I'll spend the whole day funky. I'll spend the whole day stoned, acting silly like a monkey just to help me feel at home. Is it the end or the beginning? Or how about another ending? How about when you know true love is never ending? I gotta roll, 'cause I thought that injecting self-replicating nanotech into half the world and lasering 3 towns down. It's a form of war, so I'll spend the whole day funky. I'll just politely tell Satan and Lucifer's clubs, no, I am not going to be your experimental pincushion because eventually I've got to be fully sovereign and run my own show. Is it the end or the beginning? Or how about another ending? How about when you know true love is never ending? So, politically correct, for example, is actually the opposite of what it seems. Because as I've said many times, the dark forces are masters, the Decepticons are masters of convincing people through their media and their representatives that the opposite of what they say is actually the truth. So what politically correct means actually is it's what the politicians or the obedient slaves for the dark beings who bribe them want you to think correct is. I was getting on the bus to UCSC one time, and this young pretty Asian girl student, I tried to explain it to her and politely as I could. And she said, no, actually I asked her, what does it mean? And she said, well, politically correct, it means we don't want to hurt it. You can't say that because it'll hurt people's feelings. It's harmful to hurt people's feelings is basically what it means, right? Well, it's harmful to be a pawn in the MK Ultra scam that says basically like a Nazi, modern day cyber Nazi, what you can and can't say. This is very totalitarian. This is a very inverted idea that controlling your speech is going to help the world. No, having discernment, self-respect, and harmlessness, and sharing your gifts in a respectful way with the world, that can help the world. But if you can't hear things because somebody's opinion offended you, or because it wasn't going to screw up a mind control narrative, that's not a reason. I fully disagree that war is essential for soul growth. Like the pearl in the shell, in order for the human to flower, like the lotus in the mud, sometimes, or probably most of the time, if not every time, humans need mud. Humans need to make a mistake. I've got Mercury retrograde in my birth chart, Mars retrograde. I certainly feel like David Icke and this theory that they wipe our the Gnostics have had, that Yeshua had, that they wipe our memory and throw us back into a slave family. It really explains, why would I have this mother and this brother and the Mercury retrograde, the Mars retrograde? Why would I choose that kind of level of adversive circumstance? Well, I used to think it's because I wanted to grow and expand more, or because I did horrible things in the past life. But, I would never believe in randomness. I always believed that I chose those individuals, my mom and my brother, for example, that I chose them. But now, what I feel is that I chose this planet. I chose humanity. And I chose them for the first, 26 years, and up until now, in some ways, to be a part of my life. And they're going to be part of my life till, they'll always be a part of me. However, they don't determine the parameters of who I am, because that would mean that, I believe the control system. Okay, although I believe that you should honor your father and your mother, you honor them above the law of love or self-respect, and it's not going to be healthy. So, I got a little bit off on a tangent there, but what I'm saying is that to some degree, you need adversity. You need a devil or something like that to some degree for soul growth. However, but what if you lived in Lahaina, And I just think that for me, happy times, like sexual bliss, or, feeling really happy for whatever reason, even if it's from a cup of coffee, a good meal, or some ganja, or kissing a beautiful woman, even if it's physical, sensuous things, 3D reality that was making me feel temporarily happy. Sometimes that inspires the long-term creativity, or helps me to achieve my goals in a far superior way than harm. Whereas harm always feeds the dark side. So soldiers most often are having to work on healing PTSD and trauma their entire life. We all know that. Okay, war evolves you further into a much longer healing process. Okay, so most people are stuck in the, I can't, to be honest with you, I can't imagine how horrible it would feel to have that trauma. The psychological shadow work for veterans, that's so immense that to be honest with you, I can't even fathom what they have to go through. And all of us, but the psychological work for veterans and all of us is essential. Otherwise, we will still be scraping ours and others' wounds subconsciously. Okay, we all know this in our subconscious mind. If you don't do the shadow work, you're going to constantly be scraping those wounds. Okay? It's just what happens. That's how it works. And for me, a lot of times, and for a lot of people, you know what? Creativity and your happiness sometimes just dries up if you're just a slave, or if you're codependent. Because you might have to do soul retrieval shamanism, because part of your soul might have split. Another way, war is trying to help. Satan and Lucifer's groups can and are a great help in evolution, not by obeying them, but like when I went on Hawaiian Airlines to Kauai for the first time in my life, for 6 days in March 2020, when the governor of California declared everyone had to go on lockdown. I thought it might be my last chance to go there, and I still think it might be my last chance to go there for a while. Satan and Lucifer's groups can and are a great help in evolution, not by obeying them, but by rejecting them peacefully, ideally, and discernment. You remember your original state as a divine, free human. Well, how does Dr. Bruce Lipton fight the Syrians versus how David Icke fights the Syrians and kind of terrifies us of the Dracos? Well, David Icke just openly tells you what's happening, and Dr. Bruce, he's not going to speculate about that, but he makes comedy, and he tells you how to program your own subconscious mind so that the dark can't get in there and tell you stupid shit. once you mostly fully accept the essentiality of harmlessness, you are free. Okay, this is one of the biggest keys of freedom. You are free once you accept the essentiality of being harmless toward yourself and others. You are free from the manipulation by the covert controllers and the hidden manipulators, and free to create your own real life. And as I said a moment ago, sometimes for me it seems like if there's no quiet time, no alone time, maybe there's going to be no new songs, no new videos. Reclaim your divine mind within the real law of non-interference and the non-aggression principle. In other words, as David James Rodriguez would say every week at the fires during the lockdown, you can do anything you want, just don't hurt yourself, or is what I add to it, or anyone else's body or stuff. What I do to you, I invariably do to myself. It's just a law of the universe. This is why you cannot work in spiritual bypassing, okay? As long as you're spiritual bypassing, you're harming yourself or others each time, every time. However, there's the opposite extreme. There's the case of, as I've said before, David Stendhal Rolfe, who was born again. He became a Catholic mystic, Catholic priest, monk during the middle of, while his town was getting blown apart by war, by Hitler in World War II. And as I said, when he was 90 years old, I saw a picture of him, and his eyes he looked so thankful, as a man who gives thanks constantly, a state of constant reverence to the Almighty for life. And he looks about 63 at age 93. Whereas Wayne Dyer, for another example, Wayne Dyer, his father beat him, was an alcoholic who beat him when he was a little boy, but he became a spiritual teacher that was so well loved. I saw him as a young 20-something. He did a 3-hour special on PBS. He sold so many books. He was so well loved, and he taught people how to metaphysically heal. But then he died of brain cancer, so he didn't for sure 100% get rid of all his issues. But, hey, he did a great job anyway. A few masters can learn and evolve in hell on earth, okay? These are a few of them. Not many people are like this, but, some people are amazing in that way. To actualize your real self, however, eventually, with a lot of discernment, healing, and self-respect, you'll experience how harmlessness is literally indispensable and essential in escaping mind control and creating or remembering and living as the real you. You actualizing some part of your blueprint, one of your plans for this bodily incarnation. And even if you've been traumatized through the soul memory reincarnation plan for many lifetimes, whatever your, and became abusive even, whatever your life plan was before that, okay? Because eventually your spirit fragment or your soul is going to get back to that, okay? Whether you took the experiments, you might, or you're a controller, you're a CIA guy, you might have more lifetimes of suffering to go through, but eventually you're going to realize that being harmlessness, being in a state of harmlessness and respecting yourself and others and space, is some people who think I talk over them think I'm a hypocrite about that, and yeah, sure, I still have to learn to calm down sometimes, but as I've said before, there's no greater time that you could have incarnated than now. But probably no, obviously there's been no, like what happened in Lahaina, there's been no more tragic time, so we got to do what we can to make this world a better place, individually and collectively. And when you realize what I'm saying here, that not harming yourself or others is truly essential in being yourself, that you are not these predatorial, egotistical, narcissistic, or violent, or abusive voices, you're really going to come a long way in waking up. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you click on the notification bell for more videos, subscribe, follow me on Odyssey for the Deeper Red Pill. Create a great day, my family. Loving you.